Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to help you figure out how to get work as a florist. I've had many of you write to me and some of my flower students inquire as well and ask kind of what's the missing link. Maybe you have been studying flowers at home and making flower arrangements for many years. Maybe you've even done it for friends' weddings. You've dipped your toes in. Perhaps you've even done floristry coursework. But when you go to apply for a job, you're not landing the job. Or maybe you just want to get a little bit of freelance work experience and you can't quite get your foot in the door. So I hope I can help you figure out why today you aren't able to take that next step towards work experience. So the first thing you're going to need when you try for work experience is proof that you can arrange flowers. So you may have to actually arrange flowers during the interview. Before that, when you're reaching out, you're going to need some sort of a portfolio of work to show your potential employer. So what I recommend is taking photos of your best work in a naturally lit area with a plain surface, and starting an Instagram just for your flower arrangements, and you should have at least 10 to 15 photos on there. 20, 25 would be a little bit better. And that way your potential employer can see your work. Now, when I have people coming to work with me and I check out their work, I really don't expect it to be perfect. I expect that they are a beginner and they're just learning, but I look for a few key things. I look for taste level. Does our taste match? Okay, do our styles potentially match? Are they arranging in a naturalistic way? Are they using real fresh flowers? Not using any fake flowers, because I don't work with silk flowers ever. So that would never be a good match in terms of having an employee that does that. And what else? Yeah, just that they're not arranging in perfect triangles, and that they have a love and a passion for flowers, and that I can see that through their work and through their email. But that portfolio of work, if I don't have a quick link to check out when you send me an email and I can't find where your work is, or you don't have any photos of your work, I'm not going to be able to consider you. So that's going to be step number one, okay? And it doesn't have to be that hard, especially if you've already been arranging flowers for a few years, you've already done coursework, okay? So the other thing is, we've talked about this before, but you do need to have some sort of handle on some identification, okay? So you do need to know some flower ID. So I know that many of you that have written to me, you're already at that step. You know your flower ID, you know several mechanic options, you've done, weddings for flowers, or flowers for weddings, okay? So you just need the photography, you need the proof that you work with flowers. The second thing I would like you to do is make a list of people you want to work with. And you can start with your most ideal, and and it should be like within the vicinity of where you live, okay? And make a list of 10 if there are some, if there are that many, and then work through the list reaching out one by one, okay? Send them a quick link to your portfolio. Keep your email short and brief. Please don't make it long. Yeah, and just reach out friendly but professional. Let them know your experience level, and see if they might need an extra hand during the holidays. And you could even go into the shop and ask, but flower shops are busy places, so I recommend doing email, and then they may ask you to come in from there. So there may be a few reasons why you're not hearing back. One could be that your portfolio doesn't look professional enough, or your portfolio doesn't really match up with the style of the florists that you're sort of pursuing. Now, this is a little bit of a push and shove here, because when I was starting out, I definitely just took any job I could, and even with very traditional old school florists, that I didn't really like their style, but I was so curious. I wanted to know, how does a flower shop work? How do they do their pricing? How do they make their arrangements? So even if I just had to sweep floors, I would go in, and that way I could observe the workings of a flower shop. And that's so, so important. And it helps to build your confidence. I think that's the biggest part of this. So that is super important. So you may want to just take a look at your portfolio again if you're not hearing back. The other thing that could be even more powerful than this, another reason why you might not be hearing back, is it could just be like a very busy season and they don't have time to manage their email. They've already hired their freelancers for the season. So this may be a better activity for a slow time like January. Or a time of year where there's not a big holiday and outside of your local wedding season. And that wedding season varies per location because of weather and different factors like that, okay? So the next kind of strategy that I think is even more powerful than reaching out is actually local networking. Are you able to get involved with other flower lovers and other people who are pursuing floristry, and even people who already have flower businesses? How could you get involved with a network of other flower lovers in your area? Because maybe you could meet someone in that environment and they say, oh, I'm just slammed with weddings right now. And you can say, well, I'm always happy to help out, okay? And I think that's actually one of the most powerful ways. Sometimes florists are really busy if they run a small operation. It could be that they are kind of hiring people last minute, friends and family, that sort of thing. And I know that when I was starting out, a lot of times I did just hire people in my local network. So that can be very, very powerful strategy. I do want to make one note here. If you do live in a rural area and there are absolutely no florists in your area, you may have to actually just not get work experience, okay? So you may actually have to get the experience on your own through clients and doing events for family and friends, and you may have to take a little bit of a different strategy with this if there are not a lot of flower businesses in your area, and that's okay, all right? You can do it without getting work experience, but you will just have to kind of slowly build your knowledge, and you may have to focus more on coursework and finding a mentor, okay? The next thing I would like to speak about are some red flags that I see when people are approaching me, because I've been doing this for about 25 years, and over the years, I've had a tremendous amount of people reach out. And, I always try to respond. I'm not always able to. But I was that girl once reaching out, just hoping to get that first foot in the door and get the real experience. And you feel so desperate. You want to just have that work experience. But there's this gap because you don't have experience. So it's hard to get the work. That can be a little bit challenging, but I'm always empathetic. But there are a few red flags I've seen. So the number one thing is never tell someone that you will work for free. First of all, it sounds really desperate, and as much as we love to hear that you have a passion for flowers and you're willing to get in there and sweep the floors and do the tough work, and you love flowers so much that you're willing to do all the tough physical labor that comes with it, I don't really want to hear like that extra step into desperation of I'll work for free. It shows me that you don't respect yourself and your work, and also it's illegal. I can't have someone work for free, okay? So I will never ask you to do that. And I would never, ever feel comfortable bringing someone on for free, even with freelancing, because I'm pretty much a one-woman show and I just have freelancers help me here and there for larger projects and events. But I would never, ever ask someone to work for free, okay? And if somebody is asking you to work for free, particularly around really heavy physical labor, it's a huge red flag. So please don't accept any offer like that. You know, it may be a different story if your best friend is starting a flower business and she wants you to help her. I'm not really going to go into that territory. It's not ideal. It does happen. Okay, really don't ever send an email to a professional florist telling them that you'll work for free. Okay, let's just not put that into the equation. The second red flag is when you're reaching out and you don't live in the area. You know, reach out to local florists, to the place that you live, okay? I would never have the budget to like fly someone in and accommodate their housing. And again, I'm not going to have a visitor come and help me for free. It's not in the equation. So in the comments, if you are looking for a job in floristry and sort of where you are in the process, and if you have any tips to share for our other viewers about how you were able to get work. I'm so curious. Next thing I want to speak about is if you've tried all of this and it's just not working, I would recommend that you do a couple of things. First of all, I want you to know that it's okay. When I was starting out in floristry, there were a lot of jobs I actually didn't get. So what I did is I just got even more determined to learn on my own and develop my own style. So while I was able to procure some work experience, while I did that, I also just honed in on my style and my work. I made my weekly arrangement. I experimented with photography and capturing my work in a way that would attract the clients that I wanted to work with. And that was a huge learning curve. Some of my photos weren't so great in the beginning. What will help you here to kind of kickstart that and get it going faster is to actually procure a mentor, somebody who could give you a portfolio review, somebody who can tell you what you need to do to improve when it comes to your floral designs and your portfolio. And the other thing is back to that local networking. Do you have a garden? Can you hold a beautiful lunch or event with your floral designs? Maybe team up with another vendor or even just a friend, and then capture the event in a beautiful way to add that to your portfolio. Hold some events yourself or do an event for a friend and have them just pay the cost of flowers versus the retail price, and make sure you have a photographer or you're confident in your photography skills to capture your work. That'll be key for your portfolio, and at the same time you'll be getting a lot of experience. You'll also be putting your name out there in terms of your network and friends of friends. That's where it all starts with finding clients, is with your own network. So just starting there in terms of sharing your work and getting that work experience, and letting people know I'm just starting out and this is one of my first events. What do you think? And just getting that behind the scenes experience, I think, is the most helpful, so you can start to get your systems in order. So I have a free gift for you. It's just a little blueprint / checklist for you to help you procure work and kind of take your strategy to the next level. And I'll even give you a few prompts and ideas in terms of your reach out to florists, and some things to watch for, and actually a sample inquiry for working with a florist. If you would like my free checklist for procuring work with flowers and getting your work experience in with flowers, I'll tell you every step you need to take, and I'll even give you a blueprint, kind of a fill-in-the-blank letter you can steal, that will help you reach out to florists. So you can get that through the link in the caption of this video or the blog post if you're reading it on our blog. And also leave me some questions down below. Let me know any challenges you're facing with this. Have you already created a floral portfolio? I'd love to know. Thanks so much for watching the channel today and for joining me here. And if you are one of our current flower students, thank you for joining us, and I'll see you in the classroom. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, and I'm wishing you luck on your journey working with flowers. I'll see you soon, and Happy New Year. Bye.